We're ready. All right, I've got us at 1:51 going back into our meeting. And if you will press and release where it says push, it'll turn green. There you go. If you want to introduce yourself to the board, and then I'll tell you who all you're talking to and a little bit about our procedure this afternoon.
All right, my name is Vicky Lopez.
All right, Ms. Lopez, I see that for you, we have an application to be a pharmacy technician, I believe, in the state of Arkansas. And you let us know that something would come back on it, which the board members are going to want to talk to you about in just a moment. I'm John Kirtley. I'm the director of the board. On this side of the table, we're all staff members that work here at the Board of Pharmacy. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready, who's our assistant director, and Ms. Ashley Bales, who's our legal counsel. Then you've got 4 decision makers here today. These are our board members that are actually here to consider your application and to make some decision for potential action.
Okay.
With that, they could vote to approve your application, to deny it, to say they would consider it in some other period of time, or to say they'll consider it if the following happens. Most importantly, whatever they come up with, you can either agree or disagree with. If you agree with it, we go forth with whatever they instruct us to do as staff. If you disagree, since you're an applicant, it kind of gives you 2 choices. One is to say, forget about this and walk away from it and go, never mind. The other one is to say, no, I want to pursue this and I would like to have a hearing before the full board at a later date. And we would call that a formal hearing, where this is an informal conference. And we call it formal because there's all 8 board members. There'd be a hearing officer up here and a court reporter typing out or doing a recording of it. We swear everybody in, and it's just a much more official procedure like you would kind of generally see going to court.
Okay.
So I always ask 2 questions. Do you know why you're here today?
Yes.
What questions do you have about how this works?
I don't really know what to expect. I don't really have any expectations, but hopefully they are good.
All right. Well, and I say it because if you have questions, we want to answer them. So if during this, there's something you want some clarification, you're confused on something, I realize you haven't sat in that chair and we do this all the time. So if you've got questions, by all means, ask us and we'll do our best to help answer.
Okay. If I do have questions, I will ask.
Absolutely. Ms. Vales?
We brought Ms. Lopez in for the informal committee this afternoon. She did disclose that there would be something on her background check. On July 7th, 2021, she was arrested and charged with aggravated assault on a family or household member, which was a D felony. According to the police report, law enforcement was dispatched to the Walmart Supercenter in reference to a person with a weapon. 2 people had been in an altercation over a child custody exchange. Police report says that Lopez first began to drive out of the parking lot, but then put the car into reverse and intentionally ran over the other person's foot. She then exited the vehicle and began pushing and slapping the alleged victim in the face. After we sort of dug into this, I asked Ms. Lopez to send me documentation about what happened when she went to court. And she provided documents that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it ended up being a reckless driving charge based on the same facts that are in the police report. They dropped it down to a reckless driving. So that is why we brought her in with the allegation. Turns out court took care of it a little bit differently. You have those documents in your packet.
Well, on that day, obviously, we had court for a child hearing between me and Trevor Corbin. We also had agreed upon that day that he was going to be able to see them for a couple of hours. And we were to meet at the Walmart for, just to swap. And I figured it would be a safe place since, it's somewhere where there was cameras. So that's where I decided. And upon arriving, I noticed that Mr. Corbin was not in his vehicle. He wasn't in his own vehicle. He wasn't in someone else's. And the person that was the owner of that vehicle didn't have car seats to, so I could swap my children with him. And so we had gotten into somewhat of a verbal altercation, and I was getting anxious and nervous, and I wanted to escape the situation, But in the back of my mind, I know I couldn't just completely leave. So I decided, and this was me having my own inner monologue, me deciding, hey, I know I need to stay because this was court ordered. I can't just not go with it because then I could get in trouble for it. So then as I was trying to leave the first time, which my vehicle, whenever you park it, all the doors automatically unlock and everything. So, and then whenever I had that inner monologue about trying to stay, I put the car in park, and that's whenever all the doors unlocked. And then Mr. Corbin proceeded to, open the door and try to just, do what he wanted to do, and which was making me I was getting more aggravated, more, how would you say it? More, riled up in my own little thing. And it just, I wasn't my best self, I guess you could say. And I wasn't acting irrational. And I told him multiple times, hey, like, I don't like you doing this. Can you get out of my car, please? Like, I told him multiple times. He was not paying attention. He just wanted to do what he wanted to do. And that's what probably like sent me over the edge. And I wasn't intentionally trying to run over his foot. Because I didn't in my head, I'm not picturing where he is exactly. Like, whenever he was in someone in my car is like, hey, I want to drive off. Like, let me go. Can you please get out of my car? And I told him that several times. And I even told him, hey, I'm going to leave. And I let go of I put it in drive, and I let go of the brake. I didn't put no gas or anything. I just let go of the brake. And whenever that happened, I realized that what had happened, that his foot was under the vehicle. So either reverse back or go forward with it, because I didn't mean to. I was not trying to run over his foot, but I was just trying to escape the situation in a way. But obviously, it got the worst of me, and I got the punishment for it. So.
Okay, well, what brings you to the world of pharmacy?
Well, I'm just trying to, just do better for myself, have a better job. I do work right now at Walmart, and they asked me if I wanted to do pharmaceuticals, and I was very much interested, something new, something that maybe someday I could expand more on. Maybe, I don't know, go to a hospital and try to work there, or, do some sort of traveling with pharmaceuticals.
Which location are you seeking a job?
For right now, I want to just try to, have a footing in the pharmaceutical world. So I'll probably just stay at Walmart pharmacy for a little bit, probably like 6 months if I do get the job, and then try to venture out from there.
Okay, what store, what location, what store?
Oh,
Clarksville.
no, in Russellville, 412. Yes.
Okay. And it's also good to, stay with Walmart, see where it takes you. You can go anywhere
Yeah.
in the court, in that corporate situation. So, you see, what department are you working in currently?
I work in the online department.
Okay. You haven't had anything else?
No,
other
ma'am.
incidences or anything?
No.
Okay.
Still on probation?
No, I'm not on probation anymore. I paid that off a year, almost a year and a half now.
Who completes the request for waiver? She does. Application, the request for waiver is signed January 20.
That was probably a mistake on my part. I probably just didn't understand. Wasn't sure if it meant like if I was on still probation, or if I ever was going to be on probation, but I just put probation. That was what I was received for that.
Okay, have you learned to stay away from the law?
Yes, ma'am.
If you go into pharmacy, there's gonna be a lot of rules and regulations that you'll have to follow.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
And all this little traffic stuff. It's cost you a pretty penny,
Yeah.
with this traffic stuff, so you're not gonna do that anymore.
No, ma'am. I haven't ever since that, before that, I haven't gotten a ticket since I was 15, 16. I think that's whenever that happened.
Okay. When did you get off probation?
I want to say it was 2022 July.
Like the last payment was November.
November.
That's the last time that you made a payment on that reckless driving charge. That's what it looks like to me from that record.
You go in and pay like a big lump sum at the end
Yep.
to get it done?
Yeah.
Page 15.
Yeah, it says supervised probation until paid restitution.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions of this candidate?
A history of drug use.
No, ma'am. No.
Pick a new spot to exchange kids.
Yes, sir.
Other comments? What's your will? I have a motion
A second.
and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any nays? The motion passes. You're going to get your permit.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, ma'am.
But this is just a starting point for you.
I turn this off.
Providing services. He said he didn't know he can.
One o'clock, people do not come.
Went into labor. Yeah. Came here, but needed to leave to go have a baby.
She made it up here?
The anxiety of hearing.
This is the first,
I said she'd been preparing for this for 9 months. All right. Sure. Yep, it's number 10, depending on how it pulls up. I think, hold on, if I get it right. Dr. Brady, do we have anything other than the invitation?
This is the only thing. I told them that we wouldn't allow them to do what they were doing until they got
No,
here.
I mean, for her.
I didn't see anything else in there.
All right, so if you will press push, just press it and release, it'll turn green. Or right on the push button. It'll click and there you go. If you want to introduce yourself to the board and I'll tell you who all you're talking to.
Okay. My name is Mona Gamboa. I'm the co-founder of CareRight Technologies, which is an EHR, EMR that we use throughout the United States. I'm from Wyoming. It's about 62 miles from Denver. And
That's like barely Wyoming.
barely Wyoming. I'm right on the border. And it's windier here than it is in Wyoming, which I didn't think I could say that ever.
It is an unusual day here. It's also much cooler than we feel like it should be today outside.
You're gonna have like a ton of people here for the eclipse. So
It's coming. Yeah, quickly. So I'm John Kirtley. I'm the director of the Board of Pharmacy. And on this side of the table, we're staff members here at the board. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready is our assistant director. Miss Ashley Vales is our legal counsel. And we have 4 of our pharmacy board members, Dr. Clint Boone, Dr. Brian Jolly, who's the president of the board currently, Dr. Rodney Richmond, and Dr. Lenora Newsom, who's the chair of our informal committee. We invited you in. We found out that CareRight, the EMR system, was being used in Arkansas, and I understand it is a little bit different in Arkansas that an EMR system, electronic health records can be used in facilities all day long. We have nothing to do with that. No qualms about that until they start connecting with pharmacies. And then there are some discussions that we kind of generally have along those lines of what connectivity options there are, the ability for other people to connect and everything around that. And I did not ask, I should have started out. I don't know if you have any like slides or PowerPoint or anything you want to show the board, but if not, we can have a discussion. A lot of times people come in and say, you know, kind of here's the interoperability of the system. I can tell you that most EHRs and electronic medication administration records and everything are fairly similar in their function in the home side or assisted living side. And then it's just kind of how the pharmacy connects or interacts with it. So my understanding is you're in the both long-term care and assisted living facilities.
Just in the assisted living.
Just in assisted living. And what all functionality is the main part that CareRight does? Is it the complete electronic health record?
The whole thing, yeah. The health
Okay.
record, the EMR. It has lots of functionality, but the most, you know, it's the guts of the whole, they use the whole system.
Sure. It's, well, you know, my translation from back in retail would be it's my point of sale. It links all the different parts
It
together.
does, it links it all together.
So it's got the full patient chart that the prescribers and the nurses and everybody else sees the full patient care. And then it also has the EMR integrated where it has the meds, the time for administration and the record that's
Yep,
been done.
It automates all of that, right?
So I guess the question is that in the request for the board is to be able to connect to pharmacy. So what is the pharmacy connectivity for yours specifically?
We connect with a pharmacy or multiple pharmacies. All of that data from that pharmacy comes through our VPN and into our server.
Okay. So, and we have a couple of questions that everybody always has to answer because there's good answers and bad answers. And one of them you've kind of already answered. So you are not, you don't limit a facility to only be able to connect to one pharmacy.
Yeah.
And what does it take for a pharmacy to connect to you?
We need first we have to go through all the legal paperwork of HIPAA compliance
Yeah,
and
you
all
gotta
that.
get HIPAA associate agreements in
All
for
that
them to be able to
stuff.
do it.
Right, and then we technically, they have to secure we have to have a secure connection and we use a VPN between the pharmacy and us. It's our server.
Okay.
And so then we give them an IP address, we whitelist it, and then we say, you know, you can connect. So we test the connection and then they'll start dumping data.
And in that, when they're dumping data, are you connecting directly to their processing system or are they just logging in as a VPN into your system? Like
No,
you
they use
connect
their pharmacy software like
Okay.
QS1 or Frameworks or
Pioneer. Is
Pioneer,
it
any of
huge on
those. They input the data and that data flows across the wire,
Yep.
you know, electronically, securely into our server.
To self-populate in your server and into the EHR for the patient.
Right. Well, we don't, yeah, once it gets to our server, that's when we push it to the community.
Okay.
We'll wait and then we push the pharmacy data to the community. And so what we mean by that is we give them access to
To feed it in.
feed it in, and they can't feed it in until they accept every single order.
Okay.
So they have to go through and, well, I'll fix that a little bit. It will feed into them, but they can't even see it. They can't put it on a resident's profile
Okay,
until they activate, accept, and put into rotation that order
okay.
So-
At the home,
at the community.
okay,
And
And-
again, they connect to a server, the community does, and because the EHR is a completely, we feed the EHR
okay,
after the community logs into a web page, which is a server, and not the same server that the pharmacy connects the data to. So we take it from the the pharmacy feeds it to one server. We feed it to the community server, because we might have, we have 190 pharmacies hooked up. So we
Sure.
have to take just their data and feed it to their specific server. And then they log into that server and they have to accept, deny or reject, or, because they're the last defense of the resident.
Yeah.
So they have to say yes, 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 yes.
I got it. And I'm in talking through this because we've seen a lot of these different programs, and I think it'll make complete sense, and you'll be able to correct me where I misspeak, that your system is different. Many of these systems, in my observation, it's already a direct connection. It has no intermediary that would look at it and push it. So if I could VPN into your computer, I could make changes to an Excel spreadsheet if I had access to that spreadsheet. And
Correct.
it sounds to me like what this is I feed information into a server that then you say this information in this server goes to that community. And so you direct it to the community, and then the community chooses whether or not to accept it as being correct or
That's
not
correct.
as a review. So it's very similar to what we've seen elsewhere, except it has a multi-step process to be sure it's routed correctly instead of going directly from the pharmacy to the community.
No, it does not go directly to, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Many of the others, and we're having these conversations with some of the providers of, well, we don't connect directly to the community. But in essence, the only reason they don't directly connect to the community is you have them park it in one server as a safety step before it gets moved from that server to make sure it goes to the right community.
Correct.
Okay. Which we would still call, it's still a connection. It's an indirect connection rather than direct. And so then, and I've seen this two ways also. Some systems, the pharmacy can directly enter it into the EHR and the EMR that I have an order for, this person, and I enter it in and it self-populates in that EMR system in the community. But in yours, they see it appear and they get to review it and then have to accept it for it to populate.
That's
So
correct.
you have an
They-
extra safety check.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That community can never get an order unless they
Accept it.
activate it and accept it.
Yeah. I actually probably like that, because personal observation, not speaking for the board itself or the agency, but I kind of like the extra safety check that you've got, which is very similar to the way pharmacists work in other places that, okay, if I'm in a hospital and a prescriber, whether it be an APRN, a PA, or physician, gives a verbal order to a nurse, and then the nurse enters it into the system, then a pharmacist oftentimes will validate or verify that order before any medicine ever goes out.
Yeah, we call it, exactly, we call it the check and balance system.
Yeah, I like it.
Because the pharmacy could put something in correctly and the home, I've actually been to court because of this.
Oh,
The
yeah.
home has accepted it. Somebody got hurt,
We-
and then the home is saying, well, the pharmacy gave me the data.
We had a case like that yesterday.
And we're like, well, it's your responsibility
Yeah.
to check that data. So we enforce that very heavily.
Is there, when you connect to a pharmacy, is there like a flat fee that you do to do all that contractual information to connect them? Or is it like a
I don't
per
charge the
patient?
pharmacy anything.
Okay.
The
Um,
pharmacy has no, I don't even,
They don't have your software, they have a connection.
no, and they don't get charged. I charge the home.
Okay.
So that's a little different also.
It is.
Because some people charge the pharmacy half and $1.50, but I don't do that at all. I say it's
Yeah.
all on the community to pay this bill, whether you work, I don't know what the home does between the pharmacy, but my billing goes directly to the community.
We've seen everything from the community paying 100% to the pharmacy being asked to pay 100%. And then, what we say is the pharmacy under our law cannot buy it for the home. The pharmacy can be responsible for their functionality in it, but they can't just purchase and give it to the home to then coerce the home to give them all the business or anything. That's a
that-
kickback
yeah, that is-
issue or a
Yeah,
remuneration
and I
issue.
I have a big problem with that with
I bet.
competitors.
Yeah.
So I don't, in fact, I lose business because, I tell them I don't want to, the community needs to pay for this.
Yeah. So it's interesting for this specific one that I think, and it's not you arguing this, I think, every time the board has approved one of these, because it is an interaction directly between pharmacist or pharmacy and those patient records, everyone that the board has ever communicated that was approved in Arkansas, it was within the borders of Arkansas. The board, we have some rules on technology that we don't allow technology to be controlled from non-Arkansas pharmacies. And not even so much for you, but it I think will make sense. Like if you have I say a Pyxis machine, but if you have an electronic box in a nursing home, well, we've got a few that have been approved for use within the state by state pharmacies that have all their people are permitted in the state, have been vetted by the state and allowed to use that. We haven't let one from, I'll throw out Dallas, Texas, to control it from Dallas to release drugs in Arkansas. And I know you have some clients that would be over the border and we're having separate conversations about them, which is kind of how we found out about you. But what you're asking for is the ability to use your system and it connect to pharmacies for Arkansas communities, assisted living centers, homes.
Right.
So did I miss anything in that conversation? I think from the staff side, she's given very good answers compared to many of what you've seen before. Because we've had people say only one pharmacy can connect, that's the big one, that they're going to dump all the fees on the pharmacy, which would appear to be a remuneration issue that's not legal anyway, or other things. Yeah, the remote access to it. I think the only rub that we have, which I don't think prevents us from approving her system from use, is explaining that unless the board takes a different approach, which I don't anticipate, that she could connect that way to pharmacies, within the borders of Arkansas that are inspected and have all their people permanent with us. And I anticipate that we may very well at a future full board meeting have a request for an exception to that if someone were to only use like Arkansas licensed pharmacist to do this, similar to the way we do with hospitals versus the retail side. But for her system, that's the only issue that we would have as staff to be consistent with other board decisions. The system otherwise sounds fine.
Y'all in agreement?
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm just a little confused about something. So is it because the pharmacy is not in the state of Arkansas?
So if the pharmacy is not within the borders of Arkansas, our offsite order entry rules, which we would count this as an offsite order entry into a system, for retail, it's only allowed between or within the borders of Arkansas. So
Okay.
if you and I share 3 pharmacies and 2 of them are in Arkansas and one of them is in, Missouri, 10 miles over the border, the 2 Arkansas pharmacies could actually help each other. If one of them's real busy and the other one has time, the one that's not as busy could go through and do order entry, order verification, and all that back end processing for the busier store. But we don't allow that to happen from another state. And part of that is in that other state, they may have a licensed pharmacist with us, but, and this is just the way the rule was written, I don't know, 15, 18 years ago, but there are other people that are there. They have no tie to Arkansas potentially. They have never been through a criminal background check, a licensure verification. They may have a different pharmacist to tech ratio. They may have people that our state would say are unqualified to work in that way. So the way we did it on the retail side, rightly or wrongly, is we just limited it to within the borders of Arkansas.
Okay. I understand. I was
Yeah,
just.
it should, and I get it because if you've never run into that, it's a little bit different. We have some weird rules about like emergency kits for nursing homes too. Like I know that you're not in the nursing home field, but I'm sure you probably have people that say, well, what if we have an emergency kit, which is an unusual thing
Pyxis
for.
machines, that
Yeah,
type of thing. Yeah,
it's
they don't,
unusual.
yeah.
But there are some states that will allow that in assisted living. We do not. But the state of Texas has a rule that if you are from outside the state of Texas, you can't send an emergency kit in more than like 20 miles from where you're located into the state of Texas. Well, right here, that means you can't send one from Little Rock into Texas. So our state has a reciprocal rule. Well, that's fine. If an Arkansas pharmacy can't send it into Texas, then a Texas pharmacy can't send it into Arkansas. So
Okay. All right, thank
it's,
you for,
it's a weird one, but that's the overall explanation.
right.
While the rule sets that way in the retail setting, our agency doesn't really have the ability to approve someone from another state to do that type of offsite order entry.
I understand.
Entertain a motion if we're willing to accept this.
I'll make a motion to approve, care right to, be connected to any pharmacies within the state.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any nays? The motion passes.
So Ms. Gamboa, what we'll do is we'll send you a letter explaining that, so that anybody that's worried about this, that Care Right is approved for use. And you can already be used in any assisted living facility you want. We have no tie into that. But if they want the pharmacies to actually do the order entry and to send that into your system for routing, then that would only be pharmacies within the state that could do that right now. And like I said, I think that the board may very well have some approach or request to revisit that rule at some point going forward. And we'll just have to see what the board says.
So the pharmacy that's hooked up now is not within the state of Arkansas. We have to switch them over?
Well, they're not legally connected in any shape or form right now because the system wasn't approved to have a connection.
Right.
And I think had told them like we would proceed and let use continue while we were
Right.
trying to get you in here because you honestly had no idea about that.
I found out when I.
We have our own issue and are dealing with legal counsel from that pharmacy to try to resolve that.
Okay.
So it's, what you've been told here. They know what they have also heard. You probably want to have a discussion with them, but
And the home.
yeah, and the home. But we're helping to make your side of the street clean.
Okay.
And we've still got our sweeper out on the rest.
Okay. So can I ask one more question?
Absolutely,
All
yeah.
right. So, how long do they have to resolve this situation? So I can.
I don't know. Actually, we're talking to them about it right now. And I think part of what we're talking about that you've helped give some clarity to is, I think there's been a difference of thinking of, well, if we don't send it directly to them, but we send it to someone else and someone else picks it up and passes it along, I can tell you my personal opinion is it's still being sent to Care Right.
Mhm.
It's not like it went to a complete third party system. It's being sent directly from the pharmacy into Care Right. It's just a two-step process for it to be accepted and populated. Like I actually really like the safety that you have in that because if I'm in a pharmacy and we had an issue earlier this week that wasn't exactly this scenario, but if I'm in a pharmacy and there's 3 people named John Smith, because it's a common name, and I put it in under the wrong one, in your system, it's going to stop it from ever going to the wrong John Smith because your staff has to say, yes, it's for John Smith. It goes to that facility, and that facility has the staff there, the nursing staff, most likely to say, this is not on John Smith's chart. We are not accepting this order right now. We're going to have to kick it back for review.
Right.
So some systems it's direct. So my thought process is it's still coming directly into Care Right. It's just not coming directly into that patient's chart.
Okay. I get it all. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to, I need to tell them, I mean, I need to.
They're aware.
communicate to the, okay,
They're
I-
aware that all this is going on.
okay. Well, I mean, I did tell them about the meeting, but I mean, I wanted
Yeah.
to, I need to talk to the community today and tell them, hey, we might have to switch pharmacies.
Well, or
I
they're
mean-
just gonna have to figure out a different way because it's this connection of population because the
If
community,
they were in the state, would it? Like if they were
if they were in
in
the state, they could connect.
the,
But if they were in the state, it would be a pharmacy that would be consistently inspected by our staff. And all the people there that were handling drugs or patient records or anything else would have been vetted by the state with criminal background checks and permits with us. Like we would know who all the humans are and everything else.
okay,
But that's just the way our rule was written years ago.
right. Well, thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Now you're going to get to enjoy some good food while you're here, right? Are you staying for the eclipse?
Good food. Well, I'm actually, I heard that I am going to the eclipse. I'm going to Indianapolis because
Oh, wow.
we're
Yeah.
eclipse chasers.
Oh, okay.
But why, it's not full. The last time we did the one was in Casper, Wyoming.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
It took us 7 hours to drive 90 miles.
Wow.
That's how many people were in the state.
They're predicting like 6 hours to drive from Greers Ferry to Laurel.
But we heard that Arkansas was going to be the most populated state.
We keep hearing that and
There'd
they
be
are
like 4
calling,
million people coming.
we've heard there's going to be 1 million, that there's going to be 1.5 million people here. There's 3.3 million people roughly in Arkansas. And we've heard numbers, I heard a rumor yesterday that someone had rented like thousands of porta potties to put them all along the interstate because people are going to have to stop and have some source to use a restroom on the side of the road. We'll see. But it's also, let's see what it says today. Right now, it says that Monday is going to be cloudy.
By the way, yeah, we made this trip a long time ago and I looked, we've been watching the weather. It's supposed to have a full cloud across the whole Midwest.
I know.
So everybody who made the trips to go see the eclipse are gonna watch the clouds.
I know.
Yeah,
You'll be able to tell it got even darker than it was,
there you go.
but it'll be an experience for all
It
of us.
will, I mean, it was, the one that was in Wyoming was just magnificent. It was beautiful. But I've been all over the country to see them. We have an observatory at our house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have a personal observatory.
That's really cool.
So.
What kind of scope do you have?
14-inch.
Okay.
And they come up on jacks and the roof
Yeah.
flips off and it's really, really nice. But I mean, and we have beautiful skies.
Yeah.
They're dark.
Yeah,
and
you don't have light pollution there like
no
we do
light
here.
pollution where I live. I live up on the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
So there's no light pollution. So the skies are just magnificent. But we don't get to see this one. So we're like,
Yeah.
oh, we should go. And but we've traveled all over from Puerto Rico to, places
That's
in the
awesome.
world. But it's exciting. And I thought, well, I'm going to be in Arkansas, but I didn't know soon enough. And I
Yeah.
made the trip to Indianapolis 6 months ago to set it up because I thought about what would be the most popular places to go because I don't want to, but it doesn't really matter. If it's a 7-hour drive, it's a 7-hour drive. It's, it's not like it's going to be, I hope to get to see it.
I know. Same here.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming in.
Safe travels.
And there's all kinds of good food even within a block of here, downstairs, across the street. I mean, so if you've got some time before you have to go catch a plane, we're
I'm
trying.
going to go back over to the community. Got some work to do on their
Oh, yeah.
computers and then I'm going to, but I will, I was thinking, what is the best food to eat here? What's Arkansas food?
Barbecue, burgers.
Okay.
I mean, it's,
I saw some barbecue.
yeah, there's some real good barbecue.
All right,
Thank you for
your
coming
time.
in.
Got everything?
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Then you go get them. Lena some paperwork.
These other three income. We're the smallest.
That have a huge swath. Basically, one part of the state. I've announced it. We could do it by. this, I'll turn on my microphone. We thought that our 1 o'clock might boil over and take a little bit longer. But since we pushed it and came back at 1:45, so we had only put 30 minutes for us to have up to 4 people. And of the 4, only 1 showed up, which put us actually a little bit ahead of time for our 2:15 since she was here and willing to come on in. So we noticed it for 3:30, which means we can't have it till 3:30. We can stick around here and come back on the record at 3:30, or if you guys wanted to head out and just zoom back in at 3:30, we could do that also. Up to you. Yeah, so what I can say for the public is that we'll be back on the record one way or another at 3:30 for our emergency hearing. Is that good? Anything else y'all need to talk about? Oh, okay. I think that Lane or Nancy need to talk to a couple of you about forms or something. But I'll put this to rest till 3:30.
Okay, that sounds good. We're not gonna do it till 3:30 then. You wanna send me the Zoom link?
Yeah, you get excited about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna hear that